everyone and welcome to the Anime Daily, and thank you for joining me as we go over episode 2 of the anime series known as A Certain Scientific Railgun T. And honestly, this is probably one of my favourite, or at least in my top 5 favourite Railgun episodes, up to this point. I've not seen anything past episode 2 of Railgun T, so I can't comment on anything like that. However, from what I've seen of the franchise, that being Railgun, the spin-off, this is one of my top 5 episodes so far. This episode itself was very wacky, it was lively, it was crazy, it was jolly, it was light-hearted, it was chilled, and I found myself smiling from start to finish. Something that an episode from any anime series out there hasn't done for a very long time. I think the last time I properly laughed all the way through an episode was something of Konosuba, and that was probably a good few months ago that I watched that. Anyway, that being said though, if you're not a fan of slightly rude humour, then this episode might not be the best one for you, because it does contain a lot of risky occurring jokes and themes. For example, here are a few. The hamsters, to start with. These creatures like to go everywhere, and I mean pretty much everywhere, and we see this in this episode within the three-legged race. Well, I guess they don't like to go on Mitsuka, which, again, is a joke around the kind of smallish chest size that she has. The commentary states because of electromagnetic field that she gives off, so EM field. And then it's like, that stops the hamsters. Personally, I don't buy it, though, because these hamsters are just very playful and creepy. Like, we see them run off with these girls' bras at one point, and it's like, okay, whoever raised these hamsters need to raise them a bit better than they already are. Even Sutton, Roriko, whatever you want to call her, makes some small jokes about Mitsuka's chest when seeing her mother. She's like, I do see some resemblance. Well, apart from one area. And then it's just that whole segment with the mother, which is absolutely hilarious. I loved every single bit of it, with the whole kind of Sutton, the mother, and Uiharu both all kind of huddling together, sharing information about this mystery man who we know is Toma. It was just absolutely fun. Another example of risky jokes was obviously Konori. Now, I didn't even know Konori had an ability before this episode, let alone that being clairvoyance. This wasn't necessarily like a fun kind of joke, it was more like a weird kind of area. Considering I always thought that Konori was a lot more older than Kuroko. I thought she was more kind of like, at least an adult. I might be wrong on that. She might only be a couple of years older, or maybe a year older. But Konori has that more kind of mature look about her. So seeing a scene where she was using her clairvoyance to look underneath Kuroko's clothes, I don't know. I thought that was a little bit weird. But at the same time, it gives us the fact that, yes, Konori has an ability, tells us exactly what it is, and it also tells us that Kuroko isn't exactly fully healed yet. So that probably will play a part later on. Another thing, Konori doesn't look like the type of character who would abuse the type of ability like clairvoyance. Imagine if Sanji had that ability in One Piece. Oh my god, that would just be good for Sanji. But I feel sorry for every woman in One Piece, if that was the case. But, oh well, moving on to stuff that actually matters in this episode. So, we saw the Mitsuka clone walking around with the cat, basically wanting to partake in the festival. She was obviously jealous because she didn't ever get a chance to go to school or anything like that. The sisters, they were promised a normal life and they're slightly given that, but at the same time, they still have to be somewhat hidden. So obviously, she wants to be a part of it, she wants to kind of, I don't know, make a name for herself maybe. But, I mean, this obviously leads up to her partaking in it, which that twist at the end where she was partaking wasn't really that impactful, simply because it was sort of spoiled in the intro, which I thought was kind of weird and wrong. Maybe they could have, in the intro for this episode, they could at least showed a Misaka standing with her uniform and the hat on without the goggles. But no, they decided to give us the one with the goggles on in the intro, which obviously told us that this clone was going to kind of be a part of the sports festival. Okay, fine, whatever. But what it does do is it does kind of build up tension, as we see a character or a set of characters that are wanting to carry out some sort of scheme/plan. It could be quite sinister, we don't really know that much information yet. And it's possible that this obviously involves Makoto Mitsuko herself, as the cliffhanger for this episode heavily implies that by using different forms of camera angles and the dialogue given by the person that's obviously staring Mitsuko down. Obviously, this is going to lead to some misunderstanding in the mysterious group's kind of plan, but I mean, only time will tell. Well, time and spoilers, I suppose, but I prefer it if you didn't spoil things. Right, so the intro. The intro was really effective, and I really like the kind of transitions that we had in the intro from this like really chilled and happy vibe that we get to something more chaotic and more sinister in the works. I know intros tend to do this, but at the same time, I think this was a brilliant piece of script writing, as the intros are often used as a way to tell/give hints to us as the audience, the viewers, as to what's likely going to happen in upcoming episodes. And I think it's safe to assume that, having a very chilled out start of the intro, then leading to a chaotic kind of ending to the intro, it's going to reflect very well on the actual structure and overall vibe of the series itself, simply because we're having the first 2 episodes be very cheerful and very light-hearted. Like, there's a lot of comedy. So it's being very kind of calm in the beginning, just like in the beginning of the intro. And then obviously, because the intro is looking a lot chaotic and more sinister towards the end, it's obviously going to tell us that things are going to liven up a lot in the upcoming episodes. So for that, I really can't wait, and I hope they do it all justice. Plus, we get some great soundtracks and music and some interesting looking characters, and this one looks very creepy. Just saying. Wouldn't want to meet that on a dark night out. Really wouldn't. Even in broad daylight, I think I'll be creeped out. But I'm also glad that we get to see Watsuki and Wanai in the intro, as this kind of adds on to the whole screen time that they got in this episode, which leads me to believe that we're going to get, hopefully, something big from these 2 characters within this season. Because I personally really like these 2 characters. I think they're really cool, and I think they are underused for the most part. So seeing what they can do, seeing how they're going to contribute later on in the series is something that I'm very much looking forward to, and I hope they do the characters justice. The whole kind of talking about team spirit as well, I think that was kind of realistic. But they're adding like a realistic twist and spin to the series, because I have not been to any private schools, but I can imagine that it's going to be kind of similar to what they're going through at the moment. They've obviously got schools that are a lot more kind of less strict, let's say, than what Tokyo Wadai is. However, that being said, it's made the students more competitive, and the kind of girls at Tokyo Wadai are kind of a little bit enclosed and wrapped inside of a bubble, to the point where they've never really experienced much in terms of combat or strength or hardship, so that, they haven't had that need or that drive to push them forward and to achieve victory. That's just what I got from that, and honestly, I think that's pretty cool. The opening speech was an absolute blast, and it did a really good job at making me like Shokuho, and Mr. Guts even more than I did after the first episode. They're both amazing. They've got interesting personalities, and I really did like the fact that their personalities are so polar opposites. They do not blend well with each other at all. Shokuho just wanted to stand out and shine and kind of be the star of the thing, but she was outshone by Mr. Guts himself with like that whole kind of over-enthusiastic kind of speech that he gave. I just thought was absolutely great. I really did. And I'm 99% sure that the male commentator in this episode, because I'm watching the English dub version, has the same English voice actor as the one who does Koro Sensei from Assassination Classrooms. When you add that with the 3-legged race and the whole kind of scenarios and the comedy mixed in with that, that just made it even more enjoyable for myself, because my brain, without seeing that character's like face, was just thinking, oh, Koro Sensei is just commentating on this, and he would have an absolute field day with seeing what is going on there. He would probably want to turn into a hamster to try it himself if Koro Sensei was actually there. Okay, going off topic, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool kind of kind of thing. Maybe it's personal to myself because I really like Koro Sensei and that's just kind of like a connection I made. Or I might be like wrong. Like there's that 1% that I might be wrong. I didn't look it up. Oh well, moving on. Overall, I really did like this episode. It was quite chilled out and full of some great comedy and character moments. The sound effects weren't too bad, but sometimes I did feel like they were a bit off in places. Like at the beginning, we had a very loud, glarish kind of sound effect that I thought could have been quietened a little bit, or maybe just not there or replaced with something different. But apart from that, it wasn't too bad. And I can't wait to see what the group known as Member has planned for Academy City and see where the plot moves forward here. I have seen one thing that's a massive spoiler, but I don't know how it occurs or how it kind of comes about. So, looking forward to that. However, I feel like it's quite a way off. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, try not to spoil it for me. But as always, oh well. Okay, so let me know your thoughts on this episode. Did you enjoy it, or was the comedy / humor not for you? As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, why not hit that like button or share this video with a friend who also likes the Railgun series. And make sure you have that subscribe button highlighted so you subscribe to the channel for more index related content every week. I do it on a Monday, and if I can't do it on a Monday, I'll do it on a Tuesday. But most of the time, it's a Monday. Next week, I think we're going to be doing an Accelerator volume review, so look forward to that. But until then, have a great day. Alligator matane. Goodbye.